Welcome back for our final game of the week. G2 Esports versus Fnatic. Two EU giants clashing it out on the Rift. And it's an interesting place we find ourselves in, Foxtrot. Because even 2 months ago, 3 months ago, all of 2018, you would have 100% just predicted Fnatic and walked away. But now it is G2 so clearly in control.
Yeah, with the EU LCS becoming the LEC, we seem to have left behind Fnatic as the kings, and now it's old kings, new kings, FNC Legacy. G2 are in the driving seat this year.
I like that you're hitting all the buzzwords.
Yeah,
too,
I gotta get them all out there, you know.
You have to get through it.
And
I think it's exciting to me, especially Foxtrot, because now we get to see Caps go up against Fnatic, and I just feel like if you're Caps, if you're this G2 lineup, then there's just something a little extra there for you going toe-to-toe with this Fnatic squad.
Especially with the way that after he left Fnatic, there were some kind of vocalizations of the way in which... I don't want to say bad blood, that might be a bit extreme, but you know, whenever you're a player like Caps, who is arguably one of the best players that EU's ever seen, and you jump ship from one big franchise to the other, there's going to be some tensions left over. You wouldn't see it in his face. he's always smiles and grins there, but there's definitely something to prove going up against your old team. And hey, G2 Caps is looking like the best iteration we've ever seen.
Yeah, and honestly, he's had the breakup. He wants to show off. He wants to show that he's doing so great, that everything's going so well for him. And I mean, it is currently undefeated, but Fnatic have also had some improvements. Now, maybe not to the same degree that G2 have had with their undefeated split, but against Excel yesterday, Foxtrot, we did, I feel like, start to see Fnatic finally playing together as a team.
And this was a performance that Fnatic can definitely be proud of. Because just look at the way that Nemesis and Broxah specifically were able to kind of set up these plays. Broxah was one of those players who we had kind of high expectations of coming into the split. I mean, all of Fnatic really had high expectations of, but specifically with the way that he was able to carry his team in the Worlds, he really set up as one of the best junglers there. He hasn't really been able to do it, but that XL game, really, really solid performance from that jungle and the mid specifically.
And especially when you look at players like Whippo, look at players like Brox who have had some of these good world performances, Reckless Hill was saying as well. I think it's always kind of, because you know that ceiling is there, anytime you see a hint of it, it does build a little bit of hope, especially for those Fnatic fans out there. But for you, Foxtrot, we've seen a little bit. Is this enough for you to say that the Fnatic train is back on the tracks? Like, how much should we raise our expectations after a game like that versus Excel?
Well, I think there's two sides to this coin. I think that firstly, you're thinking Excel, one of the worst teams in the league. You know, if you're performing against them, that's cool. But, you know, at the same time, they're at the bottom of the standings. But for me, I still think there's a bit of hope there, because the way in which they were able to beat Excel was extremely convincing. And you see a lot of the good teams that play versus Excel struggle. Vitality struggled, G2 struggled. Fnatic did not struggle whatsoever. They completely rolled over them. And for me, there's definitely a glimmer of hope there for things that could come.
But of course, that is looking to the future. Talking about this match specifically, I think this is an exciting time because Perks versus Reckless has been a matchup we've talked about for so long. In years past, both these guys kind of the faces of their respective orgs. We look at the stats coming into this. Reckless, obviously not as great as his team has been put down at the bottom of the standings. But Foxtrot, what makes this so special is Perks used to be a mid laner. You know, we never got to see it. It was always Perks versus, you know, Caps or whoever else was going to play in the mid lane, and Reckless versus Hjarnan and Wadid. But now finally, we get to see them actually go toe-to-toe in this laning phase. How are you feeling about this matchup?
I mean, it's just going to be ridiculously exciting no matter where you splice it. You've got two of the biggest faces of EU actually being able to butt heads finally. I can't wait to see it. I think what I'm looking for is the fact that Perks, from what we've seen of him so far, is an extremely aggressive AD carry, sometimes questionably so. But either way, he really likes to play it up there. And Reckless is much more kind of like calm and collected and stuff, and more tempered in the way that he plays and his play style. So it's almost like a clash there, but I don't even think that it gives either one of them an advantage. It's just going to be like really fun to see how it goes.
And I think a lot will come down to the draft as well to see what these guys are going to pull out. But we want your impact. If you are at home, spam now in chat on YouTube or Twitch. Perks or Reckless? Who is going to come out on top of the lane matchup? We can be honest. G2 very much favored in the overall game, but in the bot lane, that is where I feel like the most pride has been bet by both of these guys. Perks, the guy who was swapped down, who's been playing AD carry for a few months, versus Reckless, arguably the most successful AD carry in the history of Europe.
Arguably, I think that's fair to say. Honestly, like Reckless has a huge name to him, and it's like, yeah, like Reckless lost Caps, right, and G2 gained it, but Reckless still wants to prove, like, yo, you took my baby away from me. You're going to suffer. And if he wins that bot lane, which I think, you know, absolutely could do.
I'm not going to take it out on Caps. Caps can do whatever he wants.
Whatever. Just sort of really give it to G2, and what better way to do it than winning the lane? Is that actually how it is? Is it legitimately a 50-50?
I feel like we have to give it a few more seconds. Perks is slowly winning. To be fair, I don't know if this was on camera, but Reckless was winning for a few moments there. It was like 53.
Oh, wow.
This is so contentious coming out.
Honestly, this is perfect, though. This is exactly this is how I feel about it. You know, it's like G2 Fnatic as a team matchup is pretty lopsided, but these two players, both ridiculously skilled players, it is going to be a really exciting bot lane to watch.
What do you think is ultimately going to be the make or break factor? How much of this is like picks and bans versus...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to assume that let's not take junglers into... I just want to see 2v2.
Junglers suck. Screw
junglers. Yeah, get junglers out of here. Talk to me, 2v2. Do you feel like, is there any one pick do you think get decided or define it?
I mean, I want to see something more aggressive go down. Like, the Lucian is always 100% pick ban, so we'll see whether that is able to slip through. But, you know, anything goes really in that bottom.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to find out now as we gear up for the first clash of kings here in the LEC Spring Split. Let's get some important advice from our on-call doctor.
Super team, franchise player, kings, dynasty, legacy. These are words that can cause a drastic impact on the ones we love. 1 out of every 5 teams in the LEC suffers from narrativitis. Now, the symptoms of narrativitis include anger, pettiness, overexcitability, and of course, the most important symptom of all, the desire to analyze from an armchair. And the primary concern with narrativitis is, of course, that it's hereditary. But wait, no more. There is hope. A new oral therapy that treats the causes of narrativitis at its source, Analesium. By isolating the causes of narrativitis and eliminating them, Analesium provides instant and lasting relief, leaving you as fit as a king. Avoid contact with your heads, shoulders, knees, and toes. And if you or a loved one has been affected by narrativitis, talk to a doctor today. Terms and conditions may apply. The LEC takes no responsibility for cases of narrativitis caused by overexposure to memes, jokes, or quips. Take only on a full stomach, effective in 5 out of 7 cases. Foxtrot Industry certified. Kings, Legacy, Dynasty, Reckless. Hello, Reddit.
Take my money. I want to order a dozen. Congratulations, Medic. Thank you for that insight.
A dozen?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a liquid, if it's pills. Like, I mean, I don't know. How am I gonna? Anyway, shall we move on? Ladies and gentlemen, G2 Esports will be taking on Fnatic to round out week 4. Frost, would you like to take us into the draft?
Oh, yes, please. Something popped into my head. I was like, I already spent my 1. It's fine.
Okay. What would you like to see G2 banning?
Okay, so I have a lot of questions heading into this draft. The first one is actually going to focus in on Fnatic. Now, a G2 on blue side and any side is going to be terrifying. I'm wondering if they're going to ban the Sylas or if we'll finally see that one slip through and what Caps specifically can do on that champion. But for Fnatic, they haven't really fit in this meta. They've been going towards a lot of those crit ADCs. They've grabbed the Lucian a couple of times, haven't found a lot of success. So I'm curious if Fnatic have kind of been saving, if they're going to feel a little bit better, maybe go towards the Ezreal or something that's a bit more mainstream as they look down giants in G2.
Okay, let's find out as the draft plays out. And of course, the gigantic question, the man on your screen right now, Caps. How does Fnatic solve the Caps problem? You can see a number of mid lane bans here. Cassio, Akali, Karthus, Urgot, as well as potential Sylas. Caps, we've seen with some mastery over that champion. And a lot of power picks. Jankos, what am I saying? Jace is now locked in for G2 Esports. And of course, the Caps problem, Nemesis either has to answer him in draft or Fnatic have to support him and play around him to answer Caps in game.
Yeah, the question is are they going to play hyper defensive and just try to survive Caps' pressure, or are you going to try to curate a specific matchup for mid jungle and just cap Caps away? That said, Ornn coming in pretty hot and fast, and because Thresh is locked in alongside him, it's not Ornn's support that we saw in the LCS, as well as in Korea.
That is what I was expecting, an instant pivot. So some surprises, some celebration from Jankos, who seems to be very high energy. Now, Lucian has found himself in the ban pool in the majority of the games this weekend. Now, Perks and Mickey have the Braum Lucian lane, the lane that has been the bane of their laning phase for several games now.
And the analyst desk already asked it, you know, who is going to win in that bottom lane? A lot of the, I believe, chat spamming, and eventually it was Reckless that won out in that vote. But for me, it's always going to come down to matchup. And when you're looking across from Perks and Mickey, who have Lucian and Braum, there's not a lot of 2v2 options that Reckless and Hilly are going to find. Thresh, or already locked in, that can compete with that type of firepower.
And of course, the emotion that the emotions that have already been shared between the likes of Perks and Reckless has something that's been many, many stories. And the looks of the faces, Fnatic pretty serious and stern, G2 pretty jovial and celebratory. We're into phase 2 bans, Camille and Kai'Sa removed.
I do like the fact that they prioritized the Lissandra. I think that she keeps falling a little bit too low in priority. And again, getting Nemesis a champion that not only has wave clear, that has roam, but also has the ability on her kit to survive all-in potential. So I feel like this is the perfect champion to either survive or control or at least follow caps for Nemesis. But that does mean that they give away the Kai'Sa. And so now I'm like, what does Reckless actually reach for in his ADC champion pool to at least survive Lucian Braum?
And of course, what is Caps going to be running into that Lissandra as well? I mean, is it going to be the Jace? It's possible, of course. We need to find out for the next few options. Aatrox is still open and available. Last ban is going to be the Cannon taken off the table. And of course, Jace could also be run into that Ornn in the top lane. It's something that W4D2 has played many times in the past and done very well on. And now Reckless will find out what is the answer. What jungler? 180 carry will be secured for Fnatic.
I like the fact that it's the Kennen ban because it feels like it's specifically targeted at Reckless. The fact that you already have Ornn and Lissandra locked in from Fnatic.
Yeah.
So G2. I mean,
good point.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say that G2 really taking the gamble that Reckless won't have a champion to pull out, that it's gonna be something that he's uncomfortable on. I thought it might be Kalista because of how Kalista works with Thresh, but left turn, we got Jinx.
Are we leaning into the let's scale and get Reckless to late game? It is something that Fnatic have done a few times, and the options are there. Now, of course, you do have some options to play around with the likes of Lissandra and Ornn. The response now from G2 Esports is going to be the Zoe. I want to look back at how these two team compositions round out and re-ask that question. It feels like a lot of early to mid-game power, especially with Zoe, Jace, Olaf now completing the G2 roster.
And with an Olaf being locked in, that is just nightmare for Reckless. Jinx, very low mobility. Hilly is going to have to be so on point with these dark passages to get him to safety because Jankos is just going to pop ult, fly in, and delete Jinx if he gets a hold of her. Okay, there we go. Team compositions are now locked in. We talked a little bit about some of those smaller nuances, but it feels like a slightly different approach here. No traditional tank on the side of G2, very heavy engage, whereas on the side of Fnatic with that Ornn in the top lane, you've got that front line, you've got some pick potential, and a few more tools if they can get to 5v5. It still feels like a rather dated composition coming out of Fnatic, something that would have fit into metas of past. It's got a lot of scaling potential. It's really about kind of that mid-game when they sync up, when they create zone and space for this Jinx to start popping off, versus G2 who are running what? That's 4 carry threats plus a Braum. Any one of these members can pop off and run away with this game, so much more in the meta pocket. Yeah, it really is the case. Used a word there that I love, Frosk, a dated team composition. I'm going to date the last time we saw Jinx in the European scene. It was in spring of 2018. It was Hyanan playing the Jinx for G2 Esports, and it lost to Reckless playing for Fnatic. 1 year later, now Reckless is picking up the Jinx, and can he take down G2 with
I
this?
do want to make this note and the asterisk. I don't think it's the Jinx pick that dates this composition.
No.
I think it's the tandem of having a tank top laner like an Ornn plus a scaling ADC like the Jinx, and then only, let's say 3 damage threats coming out of Fnatic's comp.
Yeah, very traditional frontline support. And I think a lot of pressure now on Broxah. We talked about the caps problem. How do you solve it? Getting Lissandra is a very good step to solving that problem. Combo with that Lee Sin that you've already talked about. And now we need to see can Broxah and Nemesis work together in this lane. Will Hylissang roam to support it? Or will Caps be able to just run away with Zoe? There is also some beautiful stories there that Caps playing Zoe on G2, and Perks was one of the most outspoken players on Zoe last year when he was playing mid for the team.
And we do joke about kind of the soap opera of the LEC, all of this narrative that's just injected into games. I don't think it's disingenuous to say that this is probably a fairly emotionally charged match.
Yeah.
You saw Jankos' face in the pick and ban, getting his team tied up, getting them going. There is a lot on the line, and while this is super heavy favored to G2, this one probably gonna sting.
Yeah, 7-0 for G2. Still undefeated in the league after their performance yesterday. Fnatic trying to set up some cheeky plays here. You can see W4D2 was hanging out in the Dragon Pit. Hasn't cancelled the recall just yet, and now some shenanigans are playing out. Mickey steps very, very far forward, and Perks is running behind him. Now Fnatic are going to try to chase him down. Do they commit anything further? Still 250 HP to burn through.
So the only advantage that they got there was the pot. Mickey does retain both of his summoner spells. We'll see if that gives a trade advantage to Hilly and Reckless, knowing that they have more expendable HP and more pots to work with to play aggressive in this lane.
And that's going to be interesting because in the lane, when you talk about playing aggressive in the 2v2, one of the things we were also talking about was how Perkz and Mickey, they play to kill you. They play to... They're in your face. It's forward thinking, and they've got a duo to do that as well.
It's subtle, it's fun. It feels like Perkz and Mickey don't necessarily play to win lane, they play to destroy you, and by a byproduct, when they destroy you, they automatically win the lane. But they are slightly different. It's not so much about kind of like the minute minion control as it is just getting in your face.
So step back for me, like when you say win lane, are we just talking CS levels? Like, how would you classify that?
It can be denying CS, denying experience, zoning you away, setting you up for ganks, and Mickey and Perkz can do that. They have been clever, but they've also really been pushing a lot of their luck. There's been instances in the past where the enemy will be level 6, they'll both be level 5, or one person won't have their ultimate. They're kind of testing themselves, you know, kind of learning the ropes and their limitations in this bot lane as they start to build up that synergy.
Okay, well, let's see what Perkz can do with it. Going to be playing Lucian. Zaps manages to connect not only the CP Trouble Bubble, but a Paddle Star from very long range. So Nemesis chunked down low on HP. Need a couple levels before he can get those shards up to really help push the wave. And Reckless and Hilly going to be pretty happy with this early shove. Of course, Mickey did back and come to lane just a little later. And Fnatic are pretty happy with the timing so far.
And we do have to point out, as the early jungle pathing went down, that Jankos did take the red buff, and I believe he then pathed to his own red, is now walking towards his blue. Broxa trying to meet him there.
All right, Scuttle Crab is the focus right now for Broxa. Caps and Nemesis trading as Jankos is going to catch out Broxa. Nemesis does pretty well with the W, and Jankos is going to force Brox's hand away. So it looked like the setup for a skirmish or a potential, fight, and nothing comes of it as both junglers meet head-to-head.
But it does mean that Jankos on a very early springboard and win in this initial.
Oh, take a look at this. Perkz and Mickey, they're running down Hilly. 100 HP, flash forward. First blood picked up by Perkz and Mickey. They're not done just yet. Reckless has got 400 to burn through, and there's not enough damage to kill him. And that's the bottom lane for G2, led by Perkz.
And Mickey and Perkz play to destroy you, and that's exactly what they just did to Hilly. And not only that, but also getting the double summoners, the flash and the ignite off of the Thresh. It was matchup dependent. You know, this is Thresh and Jinx into Lucian Braum, so it's still going to be an uphill battle, but you just have to respect any time that Q is going to hit, they're going to look for the all-in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. Perkz going to be very, very happy with that. Not quite Reckless who was getting the kill, and we saw Hilly, fishing for a few hooks time and time again, but just quickly look at some of Perkz' numbers, as obviously he's now the man that got the kill. 6.7 KDA, his CSD currently third at +8, and kill participation, which is very interesting to me, 70%. So, you know, G2, they get a lot of kills, they do a lot of damage. I talked about that yesterday on the show. And Perkz involved in a very large margin.
I'm going to steal the words from Max Lore's mouth. Limit League of Legends. It's League of Legends that's defined by the limitations of your champion pool, your own skill cap, your ability to outmaneuver your opponents. That's why G2 are such an exciting team to watch. You know, it's very rare in esports comparatively to traditional sports. Sometimes you are just bigger, faster, stronger than your opponent, and you can just run people down because you're more athletic. Obviously in esports, that doesn't necessarily exist because we're sitting at a keyboard, but that's what G2 do. They just beat you because they're better.
The thing is, I do think it is a comparable analogy, because sometimes you just have players that are simply better. Traditionally in esports teams, though, it'll be 1 or 2 players per team that are better than everyone else. You've got a team of players on G2 where an argument could be made that every single one of them is better than their opponents. That's why I say an argument could be made. It's defendable. And that is, of course, why they're absolutely smashing. They've already got a 1,700 gold lead at 5 minutes into the game. CS advantages for Wonder, who we haven't even looked at, by the way. He's +20. Obviously going well for Caps in the mid lane with Spellbook and the kill down bottom.
But this was never going to be a fun matchup for Bwipo, Ornn versus the Jace. That's the other crazy thing about G2. You know, you expect them to flex on no names, but against a team like Fnatic that still has so many strong members in every position, you have the likes of Broxa, of Bwipo to Reckless, again, just stacks them up into why there's so much respect and so much attention given to this team right now.
Yeah, and then of course, we spoke to Jankos and Wonder a little bit yesterday, and it's very heartwarming to hear the players on G2 talking about they want to be humble in their victories, they want to learn.
They didn't sound humble yesterday, quick
Well,
shot.
they didn't, but a little bit of it, I think Caps is a little bit egotistical on PGL to a degree. But I mean, we're 6 minutes in. Look at the gold lead. It's 2,000 gold. Jankos, we haven't seen him a huge amount. He's just been farming up in the jungle, stealing away a few camps here and there. He's already up 300 gold on Broxah. Nearly got access to the Ragnarok. And it's a beautiful thing to watch for G2, who again were very, very heavy favorites in this matchup, playing what feels like a very meta composition, and it's up to Fnatic to try prove they can, stand toe-to-toe.
And while this gold lead is sizable, you do expect this kind of in this power window that G2 would take control of the game. This is what their composition is drafted for. It's now, what does Fnatic do with their comp? And for me, it really does hone in on Nemesis. And it's unfortunate that he's versus someone like Caps, and it's just getting blasted right now. But this is supposed to be about the Lissandra and the Lee Sin in the early game. Locking someone up with Frozen Tomb, and then using the burst damage of the jungler. And if they don't get that going, nothing will happen for Fnatic, at least in early.
I agree with that, and I think it's crucial to note that while he's being bullied right now, up until that last wave, Nemesis was about 10 CS down. Hilly's going to get stunned up. He's got no flash available. There's an engage in the top lane. It is Broxah. Look at the knockup. Wonders flash doesn't carry far enough. And it is very clear who Berlin is cheering for. Fnatic pick up a first kill of the game. Hilly is going to concede his life. Not going to be able to do more than that. Another kill to G2 as well as a tower. Jankos is Ragnarocking now on top of Reckless's head. Flame Choppers will simply not be enough. And there's no Super Mega Death Rocket. Double kill for Perks.
Reckless holding his flash, knowing that he was dead either way, so maintains his summoner. But it was quickly responded by G2, and so many more members pressuring on the bottom side. So looking at the top side, Wonder very far extended forward. Good read from Broxah to recognize, okay, it's still early in this game. You're still squishy. We can find the kill here. Bwipo connects the ultimate, but there's always a response from G2.
Yeah, G2 able to put pressure. The wave was being pushed up. I mean, Perks and Mickey have been setting that for a fair couple of waves. They were really playing very far forward, pushing it down. And obviously Reckless being very intelligent to hold on to his flash. It just allows him to play a little bit more forward in the next engage.
And again, it's the difference. It's not just one kill. Fnatic get one, G2 get two. Fnatic don't have the wave pushed into the tower because they have to chase Jace through it. G2 have the wave already pressed into the tower, so still getting more and trading up across map.
All right, so G2 Esports, they extend that gold lead. I still am just staggered. 3,000 gold, as well as an Infernal Drake.
Very fast.
It is. And just before we got into the exchanges, you were talking about Nemesis trying to go toe-to-toe and being blasted HP-wise by Caps of Zoe, but it's only an 8 CS difference. This is a good sign on a pick that can help Fnatic if they ever get to play proactive. Death Sentence will pull Mickey near the tower, but not far enough. And you can just see how Perks and Mickey are using the strength of this duo lane to really, really put Reckless and Hilly under the tower.
And unfortunately, without Nemesis and Bwipo's access to teleport, there's just no help coming for Hilly and Reckless. Big level disadvantage, 7 and 6. Hilly still doesn't have access to his ultimate. This is a sinking ship and a waiting time bomb in this bottom lane. Perks and Mickey are just about to blow everything up on Reckless and Hilly.
Well, Culling's going to be used now onto Reckless. That drops him down to 50% HP. For what it's worth, Frosk, I think Perks and Mickey have been throwing absolutely everything onto them the entire time. Here comes Broxah. This is the engagement of Nemesis. Sonic Wave connects. Dragon Rage for the kick. Listen to that crowd. Fnatic faithful are here in spades, but this will not be a cheer as Bwipo will not be able to get the Orn Horn. And Jankos runs him down. The G2 army in reply, celebrating as more plates fall.
Broxah is quickly booking it up. He was undiscovered through this pathway, through the control ward. Can he get Wonder?
All right, let's take a look at that. The turret plating falls. Broxah doesn't have that ultimate available, but an execute and a Q. Does he fancy a shot? Oh, misses it. Well, I wonder if he would have followed it through. I held my breath. You don't want to really jump into a Jace and Olaf.
I mean, he has his challenging smite available to him as well as his flash, so I think he would have taken it if the Q connected. This is how this interaction was supposed to work. We talked about it. You have Lissandra, you have Lee Sin. This is the combo that you can set up because you can instantly delete and pop someone in the duration of the Lissandra ultimate. That said, there's always a response from G2. Yeah. This is a top team, so they never just give away something for free.
Also, it's slightly faster to respond and set up a follow-up play when every single one of your lanes is playing forward, every single one of your lanes is like in a position where they can get tower damage, they can get plates. Look, 2 plates secured for G2 in the top, 1 in the middle and 2 in the bottom lane, which is why they're just significantly further ahead.
And I do want to quickly point out this vision while our observers are looking at it. Mickey has been placing this because, again, Perks and Mickey are playing so aggressive, abusing the Lucian Braum, and Mickey's making sure that he's constantly getting this giant net around the bot lane so they have the information and the freedom to just flex here.
Yeah, that's exactly why G2 are just playing so aggressive, so fast. And look at the items already. Ghost Blade for Wonder in the top lane, Blade of the Rune King for Perks in the bottom lane already, and just some defensive items really on the other side. They've got a very early Dragon as well. Infernal, 6 minutes to go now. Ocean coming up in 30 seconds.
And we haven't even talked about what happens outside of this lane phase. You look at Zoe and Jace and all of the poke potential. I'll hold it though.
All right, Jankos was aware of this. Completely understanding that Brox and Nemesis were going to go for the engage. Nemesis self-cast the ult. Brox has got the ult available with no Sonic Wave connecting. Resonating Strike simply will not be enough. Caps is not done yet. He goes for it. Brox doesn't find the kick under tower. Body block from Jankos. Here comes Mickey. Another kill to G2. We're both trying to fight something back onto Wonder. Manages to get the knock up in the air. Wonder puts the hammer down onto Bwipo. Here's the shot going to hit there. That's what we're going to look at. Acceleration Gate and Shock Blast. Come on. Will Wonder find it? Bwipo's going to be healing just ever so slightly, and Wonder decides not to pull the trigger.
Yeah, doesn't even use his flash. Did have the advantage. It has just now come up for Bwipo. Maybe he wasn't keeping exact track of that cooldown and didn't want to push his luck when he'd already won the trade.
I just so much, again, credit to G2. Frost, you keep talking about how good they are making plays and getting the advantages. Jankos takes the Dragon. That's the second at 12 minutes. Jankos was waiting for the engage from Broxer and punishes it perfectly.
It just kind of makes you breathless to watch it as Perks.
Oh my word, gets the flash out from Hylissang. Hylissang starts to recall. Mickey's got his ultimate available and he might decide just to go for it. Hilly decides to cancel. Flame Choppers comes back up. Now Hilly's not going to find the death sentence. Mickey escapes with his life. Do you know, I didn't expect Fnatic to go on the aggressive, but they managed to thwart it and stop the pressure on the tower.
I mean, frankly, you see life from Fnatic, but it just is going to take so long for their composition to really find its footing. And as I was saying, it feels just breathless watching G2 because action is constantly happening. You never get a moment to breathe. You never get a moment to collect yourself because here comes Jankos.
All right, here we go. This is why Mickey held on to his ultimate. Tried to set up another play. The Lantern from Hilly was good. Flash forward. Chilling Smite comes down. Reckless is already down. Hilly's able to escape for the time being. Bwipo's starting to teleport. Oh, it's Nemesis that TPs. Insta-Claw Doom to safety. Ultimate is not going to be enough just yet. Nemesis goes down. Now Broxer tries to find one. He does get a reply into Perks. That's at least something back for Fnatic. They are still down a gigantic margin. The tower is about to fall, and without the tower for help, can Broxer survive? He's in a 1-on-2. Jankos is the damage dealer. Mickey just needs to get some of that passive down. But look, Caps is coming as well. Oh, straight through the wall. Sleepy Trouble bubble into a paddling. Caps gets another.
And with the flash, with the extra distance right there, that was disgusting to watch. This is a slaughter.
It absolutely is. And let's not kid ourselves. It is also what was expected to happen. G2 Esports dive under the tower. And Jankos, well, he's just playing a little bit crazy.
I do like the fact that Jankos throws the axe and then immediately turns on Reckless, thinking that he could possibly have a fadeaway on Hilly. And then G2, I mean, at this point, you just kind of sit back and you wow at how well they skirmish, their target selection, how they move together and work as a group. Perks does shut down. It's nice that it goes into Brox's back pocket. I think he's the sole carrier of all of the kills for Fnatic right now.
Yep, exactly the case. Brox is the only one on that neutral to positive KDA. 3 kills, 2 deaths. Oh, Zoe. Even Caps is like, it hit? Unbelievable. Caps 3-1-1. Got the Luden's Echo completed. And as we hit 15 minutes, by the way, it's an 8,000 gold, or 7,800 gold lead for G2. The largest gold lead of the Spring Split thus far was Misfits at 10,100. G2 are just shy of it. Take the second tower down. And this is absolute obliteration.
And this is where G2's composition gets particularly disgusting, because now that all the towers have fallen and it's about playing fish in a barrel.
Now it gets disgusting?
Yeah, because it's Jace Zoe. And they're on their initial power spikes, so they've got one completed item. They walk up to anything, fish in a barrel. Fnatic have to make sure that none of those cooldowns connect with them.
Okay, well, Bwipo is going to try to do something onto Mickey. There's no real support from the rest of the team. And I'm terrified what the Fnatic fans here in Berlin will be saying if it gets worse for Fnatic for the next few minutes.
If you ever lose control of a game against a Zoe, because of how threatening she can be with her assassination potential, her ability to cover up choke points with the, I believe it's the Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Yep.
She's probably just one of the most disgusting champions to face when she's ahead like this. You can't do anything. You have to give up every objective. That's auspicious.
Is that worth it though? Call of the Forge God used just to interrupt the Herald.
Yep.
Bwipo loses his flash. Death Sentence connects from Hylissang onto Jankos. Jankos throws down the Ragnarok. A culling will almost kill Bwipo. And the tower does stand and survive. Jankos is still fishing for more opportunities. Now Broxah and Reckless coming to the fight. If anybody goes low, the Super Mega Death Rocket can work. Broxah's the target. Death Sentence catches onto Jankos. Remember, he's got no ultimate. Here comes Wonder though, and Hilly's already dead. Broxah and Fnatic continue to run away. 10,000 gold lead crested for G2 Esports. Nemesis, now he dashes forward Protobelt, uses the ulti, insta-cleanse from Caps. Paddle Star onto Nemesis. And Caps, ladies and gentlemen, solo kills Nemesis.
Nemesis thought he had it. He knew he had ult. Thought he had flash. Thought he could make the outplay, but the gold discrepancy speaking for itself.
Well, so ladies and gentlemen, make Caps wish he had a time machine so he could go back and kill Nemesis again. Not quite sure that's how you hoped it would come on stream. Thank you for the support, guys, but this is just the #1 team in Europe by such a massive margin, taking on the number 7 or 8 team in Europe right now.
Ah, no. Observers, please.
I mean, you have to give Fnatic some credit for trying, but unfortunately with the gold difference and the fact that Wonder is here to instantly turn it around, there's just no answers available. And this is the time machine that Fan was looking for.
I don't think this is what anyone wants to see right now. There's going to be a lot of damage.
I guarantee you the G2 fans are very happy to see this right now.
They don't sound very loud.
They're scared of the Fnatic fans outnumbering them 10-1 right now. So a lot of credibility, not a credit, sorry, just to the squad. And I know we are memeing a little bit now, but when a team is this far ahead, it is so difficult to come back from it. Especially, as you've already mentioned, champions like Jason, Zoe, it is very difficult to get punished, to get close enough for Lee Sin or Lissandra to have any sort of impact. Level advantage to Wonder. You've got damage advantage as well. Ghostblade plus Black Cleaver. Bwipo is doing very well.
It's Broxah.
Landing absolutely everything, as well as Call of the Forge God. And now Broxah, he needs to land the Sonic Wave. Flash, kick, Sonic Wave. Manages to get the kill. It is at least one reprieve. It is at least one small step back. And take a look at that. The Sleepy Trouble bubble catches onto Nemesis, forced to use the self-cast. Paddlestar comes back out while a dragon is being secured. And Caps is now going 1v2 versus Reckless and Nemesis, with Mickey waiting to jump in.
That was a sidestep this type of moment from Broxah right there. I like the fact that he wasn't even going to try to play with Wonder, just flashed, went for the Dragon Rage kick. That said, map still pretty much on fire around them. This is a this is fine moment.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Mickey did get caught up by that hook, and you know, I'm just going to go back to what Jankos was saying in the interview yesterday at the end of the day, that this was an emotional game for him. He wants to beat Fnatic, and he doesn't know what level they're at. Well, let's talk about that in a moment, as now the initiation comes in from Fnatic. Instant counter from Mickey. Throws down the Fisher over the wall. The Paddle Star blows up Nemesis because Reckless sidesteps the shot. Now Hilly is taking so much damage from the culling. I half expect G2 to flash over the wall. Don't need it. Accelerated Shock Blast gives Wonder a double kill. That's revenge for taking him out in the top lane.
Yeah, and remember what I said about this composition's now terrifying, that they're unlocked and they get to siege? It's that type of damage right there. If Zoe and Chase just tap you, it is half of Fnatic's health bar.
Ladies and gentlemen, if G2 can finish this game in the next 2.5 minutes, they will set the fastest win of the 2019 season in Europe. 22:49 is the record. Fnatic can't even surrender yet. 20 minutes just crests over. Well, they could have played 15 earlier ago. Nexus turret #1 goes down. G2 Esports, they are decimating Fnatic where they stand. Sleepy Trouble bubble connects once more. Nemesis is doing what little he can. Now there's a chance for a turnaround. One Nexus turret remains. 13,000 gold up. The fastest win of spring is still on the cards.
And they are sharks. G2 can smell it. Blood in the water. They are charging and forcing this.
Fnatic got dead in the water as G2 Esports have repeatedly killed them. The fastest win of spring. G2 destroy Fnatic.
Systematic annihilation from G2 right there. Fastest win, didn't break a sweat, every single lane was flexing.
I mean, I I don't really like this term personally, but it looked like G2 were smurfing. Every single lane, every single player, every single decision, Jankos was where he needed to be. Lucian Braum, Frost, you talked about the duo, just the champions alone, advantageous into Jinx Thresh, and Perks and Mickey pulled it off.
So many times you'll see teams in drafts say like, we understand how this early game is going to go. We can give away these power picks because we think that we can staunch the bleeding long enough that we'll be able to make some sort of counterplay, that our time will come when we can execute on our composition. It is such a risky call to attempt that against a team like G2.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, you know, one of the things that we didn't necessarily talk a whole lot about at the beginning or expand on, we didn't get time to, but what is Fnatic's read on the meta? What is Fnatic's decision making? This is the last week of 9.2. We will be going to 9.3 next week. So, you know, crits, 80 carries potentially coming back, maybe helping out, maybe changing things. But this old school comp, you know, traditional tank up top, it did not work. And it hasn't been helping Fnatic, who end week 4 with a 3-5. Correction, 2-6. 2-6 win-loss.
I mean, if you're going to pull any silver lining here for Fnatic and Fnatic fans, it's that no one expected them to win this match. I think Fnatic probably didn't expect to win this match, and so they're looking ahead at kind of the refresh of the next round robin. Fnatic have made improvements, you know, picking up wins. It's pretty easy when you're at the bottom to continue to rise and to climb. So now the question is, you know, against someone who isn't G2, what does Fnatic look like?
There is one thing. We will be joined, by the way, by Perks and Mickey in the LEC post-game lobby while they're heading over. I do have one thing I'd like to just point out really quickly. Yes, G2 just smashed Fnatic. Again, this was the expected result. This is what we thought was going to happen in terms of the match. The win time is 20 minutes, 35 seconds. It is the fastest win in European history since the beginning of the EU LCS. This currently looks to be the most dominant European team we've seen. They are 8-0. They look unstoppable right now, but there are still 5 more weeks of regular season.
And I know we joke, and super team is just kind of a throwaway word at this point.
Yeah.
I think Europe is such an interesting region in that for so long, because its population and player size is so potent, you do have so many top players, but it's had an issue trying to consolidate all of that talent onto one team.
Very good point.
And it feels like finally we actually did in every single position. There's not a single hole that you can poke here, especially now that Perks has defined himself in the ADC and marksman position, that he is more than up to stuff to compete.
Yeah. I mean,
this is it.
The truth is, Perks is a fantastic AD carry, and we really have to nitpick. Like, we really have to nitpick to find a decision-making mistake from time to time. I love what you said. We've never had a team in Europe where every single role has consolidated the top 1 or 2 players, debatably, arguably, in the entire league, and G2 have done that. We did need to do key player of the game. It's the last time for the week when you settle it between Jankos, Caps, and Perks. You guys at home are in charge of the vote. Head over to @LOL Esports on Twitter to vote.
I think this one's so easy. I think you have to give it to Perks. Yeah, matchup plays a huge part in this. It was Lucian and Braum, but Perks put his money where his mouth was, and he threw it down. He didn't leave anything off the field.
It's so hard because I can't argue with you, but I would give it to Jankos because he was everywhere he needed to be.
Strategically, yes. Jankos and Caps were on point. I just think that for the emotional victory, like, Perks, it was step up or shut up time, and he did it.
I give Perks the emotional victory of the quickest win in European history. G2 Esports are 8-0. And let's hear from Perks. Let's hear from Caps.
Thank you very much, Quickstop. I am joined by Caps. Neither of them wanted you as their player of the game. I'll say that you were my player of the game just to make you feel a little bit better. How's that feel?
I mean, it means a lot, of course. Your opinion is the most important. But
you hear that, Quick Shot?
But I think it's fair. I feel like I got carried this game pretty hard. Obviously, Jankos was kind of like all over the map, and also my bot was doing really well. I mean, honestly, just everyone was doing really well. And I even died in the early game, but we were still like really winning. So it was like, it was a good feeling, you know. And I'm happy with how they performed, everyone.
I mean, it was one of the most dominating wins we've ever seen. The quickest game in LEC history. Is there a way to stop G2 at the moment, or are you just that much better than everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we are really like we are for sure the best team right now. But like as I said a few times now, next week is a new patch. And when a new patch hits, we have to get used to that. And maybe someone will find something that's really OP and play it. So we just have to keep standing at top. And as long as we do that, we'll be the best. But if we ever get lazy, then for sure we can lose.
And next week you play up against Misfits, a team that started off really strong. It's kind of gone into a slump now. Is there anything you're worried about playing up against Misfits?
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to be fun going up against Source. I feel like they have been kind of figured out. They definitely need some new strategies because in a lot of the early wins were with Draven and Lucian and just snowballing bot lane. But now that people are banning them out, they're kind of lacking an identity. So, so yeah, it's going to be fun to see if they adapt.
And do you ever think, we talk a lot about teams being figured out, they're only having one play style. Do you ever think G2 are going to get figured out, or do you guys have too much in your arsenal?
I mean, I don't know if we will get figured out because we don't really rely on anything, I feel like. That's kind of the strength of our team. We play so much different things. And that's why I thought we would have a slow start because we are very adaptive players. But we actually came out swinging, and I mean, obviously we can still lose, as I said, but I don't think a certain meta will just kill us.
Let's talk a little bit about your opponents today, Fnatic. There was a lot of criticism bandied at you when you left Fnatic. A lot of people saying that it was the wrong decision for you at the time, especially after making the World's Finals. Did you feel that there was a personal attachment to winning this game?
I mean, for sure. It was definitely a pretty weird game, I would say. Because I never really felt like that in a game before because it felt really personal. Usually I just play against my champions, but here I really want to kill them, you know, and just going out the game and seeing them as well. And before the game and seeing them as well, it was definitely different. I don't really know how to describe it exactly, but it was a different feeling.
It feels maybe like you've settled a score with them now.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I would settle the score, but it just feels different because I know them, you know. I know them so well. I know how they think. I know what they want to do and stuff like this. So that's why it feels different than other games.
Thank you very much, Caps. Thanks for opening up to us as well. We're going to hand it over to PGL. Guys, take it away.
I think I like the other side.